So, hey everyone, welcome to TCC Community Meet Edition 3. Today we have something really exciting for all you guys. It's a flash fiction challenge. So we asked all our talented authors to submit a piece of their choice, and today they're going to bring exciting mini stories, and let's see what we have in store for you. We have some celebrity judges, Nidhi, Damian, Pushan, who will be judging, the authors and their narrations based on the story style, the narration style. And so that's all. And Niladri, would you just like to give a brief overview of TCC?
Yeah, sure. So TCC, as it stands for the Creative Circle, it's a service-based platform where we offer a wide range of services, starting from editing to marketing to web designing and many more at completely subsidized rates. And also, along with the platform, we have a vibrant community of authors. As you can see, these are all our authors. And so we meet up once a month and we come up with something exciting to not only to interact with each other, but to put out something that's creative, that's fun, and that's entertaining. So thank you everyone for joining in, and we'll start our session today, which is the Flash Fiction Challenge, with Suman Rao. So Suman Rao submitted her story, which is called, Suman, please introduce yourself and say the title of your story and please begin.
Hi everyone. Actually, I didn't have a lot of time to write this. I wrote this only last night, and it's not my best, I know, but I just wanted to join and meet all of you.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Let's hear it.
Okay. Actually, I don't like the title myself, but I just thought I had to give it something. I'll begin now.
Yeah, sure.
Time to exterminate. I hid in the darkest corner all day. I haven't had time to light-proof my house yet. I might have to purchase many blackout curtains. I picked out the bay windows designed so fondly when I had this house built. It would be sad to cover them all up for good. But this is not my biggest concern at the moment. The sun has gone down and I step out of my hiding place. I feel thirsty, but nothing in my kitchen can satiate it. It burns in my throat and fuels my anger. I grab the steak I fashioned out of a column of my poster bed. I step out into the vampire-infested city. They've killed so many, but they chose me to be one of them. Said that I am capable of great things. I am well aware of that, and I am going to eradicate my city of all the vampires until I am the last one left.
Nice.
Wow.
Anyone?
Nice one.
That was great. That was great. Very good.
Thank you, Suman.
From one Suman to another.
Yes. Sharing the love.
I like the way you started it with the bay windows and the blackout curtains, because I wasn't really sure where it was headed. You know, it could have been like a World War II blackout bombing thing. It could have been a pandemic thing. It was really good. I like the way you built the suspense there.
Thank you.
I like ambiguity, wherever it comes in the beginning, middle, end, wherever there's a little bit of ambiguity, I just love it. So, okay, so the next person we'd like to invite to narrate would be Sambit. Sambit, please introduce yourself and go ahead with your narration.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Niladri, and thanks the TCC team for this opportunity. So I'm a science fiction author. and my topic or my story for today is monolith. So here I go. The giant monoliths stood tall amidst the dry, arid desert. In fact, they formed a pair. Unlike the previous ones that disappeared mysteriously within a few days, these stood permanently. Revati and her team were studying the radiations being emitted from these massive metallic single-piece structures from a small lab set up at a close vicinity. They were clueless though, until Revati laid her hands on an ancient manuscript that provided instructions to activate these structures. The ancient manuscript referred these giant alien monoliths as a portal to the other realm of the sky gods. Meanwhile, the scientific community had related this information to be an entrance to a wormhole. The team finally made the breakthrough after several weeks of research. The two monoliths got charged and emanated a faint light between the two of them to form a portal. The only way to know what was on the other side was to walk through it all by oneself. Revati was now standing in front of this portal and took her steps hesitantly and yet with determination to make history. But deep within, she was concerned about the technique of teleportation that the manuscript had mentioned, where an object would disintegrate into packets of energy during the teleportation and again get integrated at the other end of the wormhole. She took a deep breath and marched right through the frame. As she entered it, she saw events moving faster through a passage. She could feel herself disintegrating until she had no memory of what happened next. She was then thrown out at the other end on a flat, solid ground. She was pleased to see herself intact. She then looked around to find high citadels at a distance and ancient flying machines hovering on a visibly different sky. As she looked back, the light dimmed out, indicating that the portal had stopped. Her heart sank. There was no way to go back to Earth and communicate this historic travel. But then she looked forward to finding more about the speculated sky gods.
Very good.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
I'm reading Sambit's book now, The Last Word, and there's one thing that I found there also, which is there in this very short piece also, that his writing is very descriptive. He describes things very well. It's very descriptive. The setting, the characters, everything very descriptive. Something they really like.
Settings are perfect.
Yeah,
All of the stories, the settings were so cool.
Thank you so much.
And Sambit, I have to say one thing.
Yeah.
I can't believe how much we think alike. I think my short story is exactly the same. I just cannot believe how similar. Yeah, we're just so similar.
No, we think alike. I know that because when I was reading, I'm reading a book right now, and you're talking about this so many stuff out there. The way you have put across the Upanishads, the concept of aliens, the way they are all within, I mean, between or amongst us, walking amongst us, and how they're different and how they're similar to us.
Yeah.
And somebody referred to those Upanishads and all. I mean, it's amazing. And it's fun. It's fun reading a book. And yeah, you're right. We think alike.
Yeah. It's baffling. It's actually shocking.
I'll wait for your story now. More eager to hear that.
Oh, but I just put something up in 10 minutes, so I don't know, but it's very similar.
Yeah, that's how it is. Just, I mean, I wrote it yesterday night, I think, late night, and then I just submitted it to TCC.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Samwit, for that wonderful narration. So next we have Urvashi ma'am. So please unmute yourself. Please introduce yourself and narrate.
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Urvashi, and I'll give you a little background to this story. It's not a story, it's not fiction at all. It's actually something that I faced, and I've actually put down exactly what I felt. The reference is to the Kaluchak massacre that had happened in 2002 in Jammu and Kashmir. I don't know how many of you would have remembered or would be aware, but we had terrorists infiltrate an army camp, a residential area, and they started firing indiscriminately. And so a lot of children and women had also died. And after that, I was sent on duty to the border. So I was there for about 5 weeks when we had skirmishes. And I was from the Navy. I was working in an army unit. So I was sent with a lot of army guys. They found me strange, my uniform and the fact that there was a lady sitting there. And I was also getting accustomed to their way of functioning. So that's the background to this incident that had happened. I've also shammed and I've happily sent something that I'd written for an exercise, which was 350 words. It's 349. So I happily sent it across. So it's, I titled it The Bullet or the Rodent. Now, the sound of boots on the wooden flooring alerted me to some activity outside my cabin in the insurgency-riddled valley. I opened the door instinctively, but was admonished and told to stay inside. Being from the Navy, this unaccustomed activity was unnerving, to put it mildly. Our camp was located on the banks of a canal, across which was a sparsely populated village. Terrorists were known to infiltrate along these water bodies, and the villagers were sympathetic to their cause. Matrimonial alliances across the border were a common occurrence. Religious sentiments far outweighed political affiliations. A smart young officer from the intelligence wing knocked on my door after the initial excitement had settled. He informed me that 3 terrorists had camped in the village across the canal, and no matter what I heard, I should not emerge from my cabin. I could look into the homes across the canal and see the women cooking, washing, etc. That is how close they were. I was scared. The warmth from the Bukhari was comforting in the night to creatures other than myself. The place had plenty of rodents that scurried about in the dark. I was given a sleeping bag, which was used over a wooden hard bed. You had to zip yourself into the bag and sleep on your back, lying still with just your face open to breathe. One felt stiff like a cadaver, and it took some getting used to. The walls of the cabin, along with the roof and the floor, were made of wooden planks. Given the current situation, I was faced with this huge dilemma as to where and how was I to sleep that night. I had 2 choices. Firstly, I could sleep as I always did and risk getting shot by a bullet that could easily penetrate the thin wooden walls. Or else, I could sleep in the sleeping bag on the floor and risk getting my nose chewed off by a furry friend. With great difficulty, I decided to brave a bullet over my nose being nibbled. That's it. It was actually put down as an anecdote.
Wow.
I love the last line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually, I was actually paranoid. I didn't know whether I should go down or stay up. They were, these thin planks which overlap each other. So they were little log cabins like that.
There's someone here who is really paranoid, who shares your paranoia of rodents. Niladri, do you want to say something about this piece? He wouldn't even read your story. He was like, I read it and I'm like, so scared.
Yeah, there are lots of things I got over in that 5 weeks.
I'm mortally afraid of rats. You ask me to come in front of a rat or a tiger, I'll pick the tiger.
I don't think I'd be comfortable with the tiger either, but the bullet was easier.
if the choice is between a rat and a tiger, I would any day go for a tiger.
So then, okay, so there is something similar there. You would have probably chosen the bullet as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Much better to get shot than to get nibbled by.
I have to say that your description was incredible. I had a terrifying night actually in Kashmir Valley, just outside of Srinagar, and listening to you, it took me right back there. I mean, it was very, very, very descriptive. Very well done.
I prayed hard to get back home in one piece because I actually went and witnessed the firing. We were shelled as well. And I could say, I have a little kid at home. I want to go back home in one piece. So it was actually pretty terrifying. Apart from the rats and the other creatures.
Urvashi ma'am, when I was hearing this, I would say what I felt is that in a few words, you had so many unspoken things in it. I really enjoyed it when I was just listening to that. The narration, even the way you said it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I've heard a lot about you, and I'm really glad I am connecting to you in this forum.
Thanks a lot. And I actually followed Revati through the portal, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes, Chitra.
So, okay, after this wonderful narration by Urvashi ma'am, next we have Shalini. So, Shalini, please, introduce yourself and, what is the piece that you're going to narrate? Just brief overview.
Thanks, Chitra. Thanks to TCC for this lovely meet and this lovely theme. So, I am the author of If I Hadn't Met You, which is a bestseller, which has been a bestseller on Amazon. And now I'm going to narrate a short piece, which is titled Never Again. Here it goes. With every passing second, while the electrocardiogram was indicating Atul's heartbeat, Ragini was fighting with God for his life. If he dies today, I will be responsible for his death. Why didn't I stop him? She kept asking herself. Atul had told Ragini on Thursday itself that he would have to stay back in the office on Friday night, as usual, and that he would return home only on Saturday morning. While he was returning home the next morning, he had met with a fatal accident as his car brakes had failed and his car had collided with a lorry. Atul's heartbeats were slowing down. Beep, beep, beep. God, he is my life. I can't live without him. If you take him, I will accompany him to you. You will be responsible for taking 2 lives at one time. Ragini started howling. Beep, beep, beep. With this last beep, the sound from the cardiogram came to a standstill. Ragini couldn't stop the river flowing from her eyes. The doctors couldn't console her anymore. Then suddenly, she heard 3 beeps again, which brought her mourning to a halt. She looked up. Has God heard her prayers? Was he still alive? A message had popped up on Atul's mobile phone, which was placed on the side table beside the bed. Atul was not moving, for sure. While she resumed her grieving, she hesitantly picked up the mobile phone to have a look at who had messaged. The message was from Mohini and read, "Someone's trying to kill me, Atul. Please save me. I'm hiding in my cupboard. Can't call, as he will make out where I am hiding." By now, Ragini's constant sobbing had transformed into a devilish smile. She scrolled down to read the previous messages from Rohini on Friday morning. "Darling, you were awesome in bed last Friday. Can we make this Friday night memorable as well?" Ragini's face now clearly depicted rage. She picked up her mobile and started typing. "Well done, Shiva. Your second target is in the closet in the bedroom."
Wow, that twist was amazing.
Wow,
Oh
what a twist.
Amazing twist.
Thank you so much.
Why so vindictive?
Why not? Women need to be vindictive.
True. So, thank you, Shalini. Thank you for narration.
That
I
was
think
excellent.
that was really good. I was just telling Chitra that Shalini's story is really good. So, next I think we would come to Lee. How about that?
Okay, hi everybody. My name's Lee Nolan. My story is called Jacob Knew, Here There Be Monsters. I, like everyone else, wrote it, I think on Friday or Saturday morning. Pretty sure it's the best thing I've ever written. I'll I'll read slow so I don't confuse you with my outrageous accent. Jacob knew it was coming. It always appeared with the darkness, the hideous creature that lurked in his room. He quivered and drew his knees to his chest, making himself small. Of course, his parents were no help. They looked at him affectionately and told him it's just that he was young, and soon he would no longer fear such things. It's bigger than me, he had whined. His father smiled as his mother smoothed the matted hair on his head. Believe me, son, it's much more afraid of you than you are of it. Jacob doubted that. The beast was horrible and plodded around his room at will. It wasn't afraid of anything. No matter the number of repeated assurances from his parents that nothing evil inhabited his chamber, Jacob knew better. He knew all too well that here there be monsters. The wind howled, rattling the window in its frame. Jacob shook with it. It was such things that woke the beast. He curled tighter in a desperate effort to make himself vanish and willed the breeze not to blow, but it did, sounding a tap, tap, tap from a tree branch on the glass. That finally woke the hellion. He heard a jostle and groan from the unearthly being. Suddenly the demon screeched, a twisted yowl from the very depths of hell. Jacob didn't understand the word that it made. It said, sorry. Jacob didn't understand the sounds that it made, but recognized the cadence and tone. He knew well enough that the horrors the call would bring. He saw its smooth little feet as it hit the floor with a thud, 5 toes on each. How revolting. Jacob's umber fur bristled with fear, and he screwed his single eye shut. He firmly placed the talon of his left paw between his fangs and suckled. Daddy, the monster shrieked again. Jacob forced himself under the bed as far as he was able, as the only thing more horrific than dealing with one fiend was dealing with 2 after the wee one summoned its father. There came the clumping of approaching footfalls, and Jacob's bedroom suddenly flooded with a terrifying light. The end.
We were expecting more.
Yeah, you were. That
Yeah,
was
it was
amazing.
excellent narration. The narration was excellent.
Excellently.
Excellent narration. True, very true.
In the beginning, even I was confused what's happening, and then towards the end we come to exactly the monster
under the bed. Yeah.
I was fascinated with the concept if the monster under your bed was actually more scared of you than you were of it, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's next, Chitra? Chandrayan, I think, right?
Yeah, Chandra.
Go ahead, brother.
Please unmute yourself, introduce your work, and the piece that you're going to narrate.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
You are.
Okay, first I just loved Lee's ending because children deserve to get eaten by monsters. So moving on. My name is Chandrayan. I'm a writer. I write crime fiction. That's not hard to imagine. I write crime. I actually write a psychological crime thriller fiction. Lots of words. So I'm going to narrate a short story named The Mirror, which I wrote in 10 minutes around 2 hours ago when I found out about today's meet. So I'll start. In bed, I realize darkness surrounds me. Flip a switch, but nothing happens. Didn't pay the bill. What's that? You didn't pay the bill. It was due 2 weeks ago. I haven't left the apartment in almost a month. Why didn't I notice the pitch blackness before? Don't be alarmed. I know the voice isn't real. It belongs to my mother. It used to. My forehead grates against the air as I place both hands on the bed and push myself off it. Oh God. I reach out, grab an almirah to keep myself from falling. I feel weak. My mouth is bone dry and my head spins. I take out my phone. Did I charge it? No, it's at 1%. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I give my head a jerk and switch on the flashlight. Examine myself in the mirror. I look pale and sickly, thin, frail, undernourished, depressed. I am. All of those. I am. See me. I am here. Don't move too close to the mirror. You might fall in. She's here, behind me. I turn around and face her. I know this isn't really happening. I never, I said, I begin, then cough, my throat. I never appreciated you when you were alive, and now, I'm sorry, Mom. She stands before me, bathed in the light from my phone, ethereal, dignified. I want you to be okay. I don't want to see you like this. It breaks my heart. Silence. What do I do? How do I fix myself? So many things have gone wrong. I don't know where to begin. She lies down on the bed, propping herself on one elbow. Come here. You need to sleep. I oblige. Close my eyes, feel as she strokes my forehead, my arm, my hair. Feel as she, no, she's gone. The phone has died. Breaks my heart to see you like this. I turn over, surprised to find my pillow wet. The tears flow freely. I let them, using them as a cushion to comfort my heart. And slowly, slowly, the world turns black. Thank you.
Wow, that was very emotional. Very emotional.
and
Very
and
nice.
and immersive. If I
Yes.
may.
Yes.
Yeah,
It really draws you in.
that's the kind of thing I usually write in my books.
Chitra, unmute yourself.
That little cough that and that
I
was
know.
excellent. I thought he actually, had somewhere in his throat.
Yeah. I thought he had a tickle in his throat too, but then that was from the,
Thank
his
you,
right.
thank you.
Completely lost in that story,
Thank you.
Chandran, you're an excellent narrator.
Of all
I
You're
the,
a very good writer.
I was just trying to modulate my voice. I don't know if it worked.
It was good. It was excellent, not good. It was excellent.
In
That was a
real life, my
performance.
voice doesn't modulate.
That was like a performance.
Yeah,
Thank
like,
you.
beautiful.
of all the emotions that we have to convey as writers, some are easier than others, love, hate, lust, fear, but sorrow, real sorrow, desperation, for me at least, I struggle with, and I really felt it. You really pushed it through. Really, really well done.
Thank you. I wrote this in 10 minutes. I don't even know what I wrote.
That was beautiful. Okay, so after Chandrayan, we have Niladri next. So please introduce yourself and the piece that you're going to narrate.
Hello again, guys. My name is Niladri Mitra. Nowadays, I'm going by Niladri Shekhar Mitra. So I would like if you address me as Niladri Shekhar Mitra. If it gets too long, you can address me as NSM. So, just kidding. Actually, there's a story behind this thing that I'm going to narrate. Actually, when I decided, me and Chitra decided it would be a flash fiction challenge, I wrote a story sticking to my genre, a horror story. And then I showed it to Chitra, and Chitra was like, it's okay, but I have mixed feelings. It's too much like what you do usually. It's not really different. So, but then I wasn't being able to come up with anything else. So I thought I'll just narrate it. Until today in the afternoon, when I was, just doing something, I was doing some household chores and something came to my mind and I wrote it in 10 minutes. So I decided I'll go for the story I wrote today and not the one I wrote 3 days back. So here it is. It's called Stalker. I look over my shoulder and see him right behind me. His steady footsteps contradicting my fidgety ones. I pick up my pace, but so does he. Oh God, why did that asshole, my boss, stuff me with extra work and insist on me finishing all of it tonight itself? Why couldn't we wait till tomorrow? I would have left at my usual time, not missed the last bus, and not been in this dark, deserted alley being stalked by a big, burly, shadowy person. I look back again, and he's right behind me, ready to pounce on me at any moment. I think about my father, how he used to stand outside my college gate every evening to escort me home. I hated him for doing that. Hated the fact that my friends used to make fun of me because of it. Only if he was there right now. Only if he were alive. The man keeps matching his steps with mine, with his eyes fixed on me. Why hasn't he accosted me yet? What's he waiting for? I remembered the advice that one of my friends used to give me: learn martial arts. It may come in handy someday. An advice I didn't pay any heed to. I wish I had for this day. I look back again, hoping against hope that he wouldn't be there, but he's right there. I take the curb out of the alley and finally reach a well lit street that leads directly to my house. I almost start running, out of breath, and with a fervent prayer on my lips, before eventually reaching my doorstep. The man follows me right up to it. Finally, in the safety of my own backyard, I gather the courage to confront him. Why are you following me? If I see you again, I'll call the cops against you. Got it? He seems genuinely afraid. I'm sorry, ma'am, but sir asked me to see to it that you reach home safe. I apologize if I've scared you. He turns around and scurries down the road as I get a text from my boss. Good night.
Wow. Good twist.
That is one creepy boss you have.
I know. He's making sure he's alive to work. Get back to work tomorrow.
But a good gesture, nevertheless.
Yeah, it's inspired from something personal. This is how things started out between my parents. My mother used to work somewhere where my father was the security head, and every night she had to walk down a very dark road to go to the bus stop, which was like 20 minutes away. And my father had actually, for 20 or 22 days, he made someone follow her without her knowledge. And that was even before they even spoke for the first time. So he just had to make sure that there were no mobile phones at that time, of course. So he just wanted to make sure that she got on the bus and that this guy would come back and report to my dad that, okay, she's got on the bus. So it's a little
incredibly romantic.
I
And
can
the
relate
Chandrayan
to
said,
that, but
a
I'm
little
usually the guy
creepy.
that's doing the stalking.
And as Chandrayan said, a little creepy as well. Okay, so who's next?
I think we have Abhishek.
Abhishek Ghosh, yes,
Yeah,
Abhishek.
please.
I have it in my mobile actually.
Yeah, I have it on my phone as well.
Okay. Oh, sir, it's a short story that I wrote a few years back only, like for a flash fiction challenge only. So I'm going to read out that one. It's a relation between a grandmother and her grandchild. So whose parents are going to get so it's on a birthday. The story is set on a birthday, and when she is depressed at the same time. So that's how the story. The background of the story is like that only. So yeah, I'll read it now. The goldfish. Grandma opens up a packet above the fish bowl and releases the goldfish to the aquarium. She calls out to her granddaughter, "Reena, my child, come here quickly. Look what I brought for you. Come, dear." She goes near to her as Reena is sleeping on the sofa with all her toys lying scattered around the room. She calls out to her, but does not answer. Grandma strokes her head gently for some time and gets up. She goes near to the living room, picks up the telephone, and dials a number. Rina, a girl of 7 years old, moves a bit as she tightly hugs one of her teddy bears with tears flowing down from her eyes. She hears her grandma, with a raised voice, talking over the telephone. "Both of you don't have a responsibility to bring up a child. You two can't stay up. At least come for a birthday." Rina gets up from the sofa, goes towards the fish bowl, and sees a glimpse of a goldfish hiding inside the shipwreck. She taps on the glass, and the fish makes a fast movement, comes out from the wreck, and hides again. Rina giggles. She repeats it again, and the result becomes the same. This time, Rina claps with excitement. The sound of excitement makes her grandma pause the conversation. She comes out from the living room and sees Rina smiling and playing with the fish. She giggles again. Grandma comes towards her. puts a hand on Rina's head, and both of them share a smile by tapping on the fishbowl together.
That was
That was great.
heartwarming.
That was really beautiful.
Beautiful, lovely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. That was really heartwarming.
Thank you.
Okay, so now
Yes, Suman.
we have
Suman
PB Flower.
the flower.
And I don't know, I wasn't able to unmute my mic, sorry. Okay, yeah, I go by my pen name PB Flower, but I'm actually Suman Pandey. And I am actually, even my genre is a mouthful actually. I write mythological, science, romantic fiction, thriller. And I have released a trilogy, All Kal None. It's available on Amazon. It's the same genre, like I just said. And the short story that I have written is also the same genre. I'll try to read it. Now, there were so many great narrations, and mine is not going to be anywhere near it because I don't like the sound of my voice. So, and I think I'm my best critique. So I really hate the way I sound. That's why I'm not doing anything. I wanted to release an Audible book myself, but when I heard myself after you playing back, I was like, oh my God.
I think you sound
me. Yeah, it sounds like I just got off the bed and I'm still sleeping or something, but anyway, I'll try. So yeah, my short story is 273 words. And the title is Siphoning Shift. Evening rolled in like water rolls downhill without pushback, like tears streamed down the bumps of the cheeks when abandoned from the eyes. No one can stop the flow of time. And that is what bothered him, her. He held her hand firmly and began sprinting towards the only option that would suffice in this situation, siphoning. It looked like nothing to her. He placed her beside him and initiated their emergence to the other side. Hang tight, he conveyed to her lovingly. She trusted him as much as she could, stalling the reservations owing to her horrible history. There's no time for that now. A bolt of blue, almost white, beam engulfed their silhouette, immersing them in its opulence from head to toe. They suffered the inanimate drag surging up their mortal fleshliness, offering the exacting justifications as to why siphoning is not to be endured within a month of Earth's time. He held her back into his frame, taking the brunt of the G-force, shielding her from the contrasting push and pull impact that comes with this momentum shift. It was no less than dying once again for her. Before long, all the elements, complex or fundamental, in her body started to break down. She was different, suffering the colossal consequences of this galactical traversing was inescapable. More so now that she's already well into it over the crowning glory, luxuriating in the intensity, embracing his inherent speed. He did not for a second forget about her frailty, holding her closer than ever before, reaching their destination without letting her succumb to the grueling specific force. The end.
My goodness, I could just relate with that. I mean, you're right. I mean, talking about the same stuff, so the writing style is different, but then how does that just connect? I mean, my God. Even
I told you, right? I was writing the same thing, going through a portal. Yeah.
Thank you, Suman. Next, we have Chitra. Please unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and go on to your narration, please.
Okay. So, hey guys, I'm Chitra Padmana. I've recently released my novel, Linger When You're Gone, which has been placed in second place for the Pen to Publish contest at Amazon. I mostly write in the psychological thriller genre. But for today's flash fiction challenge, I decided to do something a little different. So this was written yesterday midnight, so I have no idea how it is, but still I'll try. So the title of my piece is A Boy-Girl Story. It's very simple. The sight of her fuchsia-painted toenails gaily skimming the surface of the lake had rendered him speechless for several moments before he could muster up enough courage. "I love you," he mumbled. It took her a second and a half to recover. "Oh, I don't," she said. He noted the gushing in his ears and then the sound of something breaking inside him, much like the crack that he heard when the mirror had fallen from his mother's hands this morning. An evil omen, she'd call it. He tore his eyes off her toenails and looked across the shimmering expanse of water ahead, which seemed, though they sat together, to be between them. Perhaps, if he had looked closely, he would have noticed the sheen of tears in her eyes and her habitual tugs down the sleeves of her school uniform that hid her bruises. Bruises from familiar fingers that probed her body at will and unleashed waves of self-loathing that she struggled to conceal with an indifferent smile and a staunch denial of the fact that she was in love. For love was a dirty whispered word in the darkness. Love was a childhood memory of a forehead kiss that had transformed into bites on her breasts as they bloomed with the onset of puberty. She glanced briefly at the boy and drew a sharp half breath at what she felt for him. Her fingers found his, and his distracted, searching eyes found her shuttered ones. "Do you want some more chocolate?" As if, he thought, it would make everything better, as if it would make him forget. Yet, as the two friends stuffed themselves with sticky chocolate and stubborn emotions, the wind ruffled through their hair and swept away the uneasy moments of the day. Decades later, the boy, now a grandfather to precocious twins, would sometimes close his eyes and remember her. How on that day, after she had broken his heart, they ate chocolates that dripped from her fingers onto her uniform. And then when she tried to wash the stain off, he had finally noticed what she was hiding. And how, amidst tears and anger and promises, the story had begun. The end.
Beautiful.
Very nice. Very well done.
Thank you.
Very beautiful.
So next, Niladri.
Chitra, I have goosebumps.
Thank you.
So next we have Ramya.
Hello everyone. So Ramya Jain this side. First of all, I would like to say that till now, whatever stories that I've heard, I was totally speechless. So I didn't know what to say because if anything comes out of the mouth of my mouth, then I might sound weird. So I would just say that I was totally speechless hearing all the amazing stories, and they kind of inspired me to write more. So I have written this. I had struggled a lot, just moving out from my writer's block. So I hope it sounds a little decent. So the title of my story is The Waking Nightmare. That was the first time in my life that I was skeptical. Skeptical whether my decision would work out or not. Few months ago, I was already deep down in despair. The spark in my eyes had faded long time ago. Recurrent failures had made me unable to stand up. While fighting through this pain, I was losing my family and friends. Above all, I was losing myself. What is left in my life? Before this thought made me go berserk, I decided to take a nap. I opened my eyes, still lying on my bed, and saw an oblivious figure coming towards me. I panicked and started yelling, but there was no sound. I tried to scream and shout again, but of no avail. I tried to move,
but failed to move even an inch of my body. Never in my life had I felt totally helpless. I gave all of my strength, all of my energy present in my body to this chance because I had to move myself somehow. Finally, I saw my finger move and that figure disappeared. I finally woke up from my sleep. I was crying hopelessly. It was the most terrifying moments of my life. Nia came rushing in my room. What happened, Dipali? I had a nightmare, which occurred again, and the day after. I felt I was going paranoid. I started developing insomnia. I started fearing my dreams more than my reality. My temporary strategies could not eliminate the root cause of my dreams or nightmares or whatever it was. It was at that moment that I decided to find answers, answers of my nightmares. Present. This was the first time in my life that I was skeptical. Skeptical whether my decisions would work out or not. Hi Dipali, I am Dr. Mansi Sen Gupta, your counselor. I think you are suffering from sleep paralysis, but don't worry. You will be fine. So let's start. That was the beginning to embrace my new self, the life I finally found after beating my prolonged battles of fear and anxiety disguised as nightmares. Thank you. That's it.
That was very sweet. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ramya.
Thank you.
And Ramya, I have suffered from insomnia and anxiety, so I can relate. I know how it feels. I haven't had sleep paralysis, but I have suffered from insomnia, and I've suffered from very severe anxiety. So I know how that feels.
Even I can relate because I have also suffered from anxiety, and this was one of my personal experiences because I had suffered from sleep paralysis. So that I just wrote it down.
Even I used to, but I don't even know how they stopped. I just remember I tried and tried and tried to move my body and scream out, and all I could, I mean, all the sound that could come out sounds like that.
Yeah.
So it's happened 4 or 5 times, but I don't think I've had them for a year now.
This sleep paralysis is something which there are a lot of speculations around it. I mean, if you look at the medical world, they give a very scientific description about how the body and the mind works. That's one thing. But if you look at the other aspect of it, like the non-scientific way, there are a lot of explanations being given. But then, yeah, it's something, the only the person who goes through it can really know what is like suffering. I mean, and Ramya, very well written. I mean, and you made it look so smooth, so simple, but then, yeah, you expressed a lot of stuff in that.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds terrifying, and I could really feel it in your narration. You know, it's horrific.
Thank you so much.
And don't be worried about saying what's on your mind, man. Let your freak flag fly. I mean, you know, I do.
That's what we all should do. There's nothing to be ashamed of, even especially if you are suffering from anything, a psychological issue, a mental issue. There's a lot of stigma, a lot of societal pressure when it comes to it. People don't talk, families don't want you to talk about it. But it's like any other day, it's like having a fever. It's like having diabetes or something. People are writing long books on diabetes, and somebody should come up and write books on anxiety, on sleep paralysis, on depression, and be as proud of it. Chandrayan, in fact, has handled these topics in his books, even though they're crime thrillers, but he has sort of integrated them pretty well into his books. That's the main reason I liked his book, because there are monologues about mental issues, about depression, and yet it never feels preachy or boring. It's very entertaining.
I completely agree with you.
You should. Okay, so we'll come to Damian now. Damian.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Damian, author of Life with Fig, and it's past 8 o'clock. The flash fiction that I wrote today is called The Frenchman, about 350 words. Little comedy here. So I hope you all are able to catch on to the words over here. All right. Being one of those pale-skinned Anglo-Indians with English as his mother tongue, I made heads turn in my new neighborhood. No matter where I went, I was gawked at like some foreigner who people assumed moved into India and into their neighborhood. I was shopping for groceries one fine morning, and I was stopped by a neighbor who wished me politely with a salute and a thick Bengali accent, Namaste, as if people were actually greeted this in this manner. Where are you from, sir? He asked me. Knowing very well that these guys won't know any better, I thought I'd have some fun. I'm from France, I said. Wow, do you speak French? I have never been to France, nor have I ever spoken French in my life, but yes, sir, I do speak French. Hey, Bapaida, he yelled out, come here, we found you a partner. A minute later, standing before me was this equally puzzled gentleman. A small crowd had gathered and was waiting eagerly for us to communicate. Jialou viplet de bon, he said. I hadn't a clue what that was, but I assumed that was a question. Perhaps he asked for my name. Usually that's the first question that a person would ask. So I simply answered with my name. He looked at me quizzically, so I realized that I had to say something. La donna, la plume, la rue, I said, reciting any French word I may have read or come across at some point in my life. Ah, oui, les nouzels, les rues, ou comment le passe? To which I replied, Comment Kozolo ne parle? The people stared at us in wonder, and he and I shared a secretive smile. Plat di chrome ni becoup, he said. Luno forini como si como sa, I replied. All right, it was time for me to leave, so I say, au revoir. Oui, au revoir. And he bent down to give me a bear hug. And when he did, he whispered, you don't know any French, do you? Nah, I don't, I say. Me neither. And we shook hands and we parted ways, vowing never to cross each other's path again. Thank you.
Oh my God, that was so comical. I loved it.
I really enjoyed that.
Really good, really good. You nailed
Damian,
it. That
do
was
you
really
know
good.
French?
Really.
Damian, do you really know French?
No, I do not, but I am actually learning French right now.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
he mentioned that he's learning French.
Okay, so I had learned it during my B-school days, so I really enjoyed the story. I mean, the way he was relating,
Oh, I'm glad
and
you
the
did.
way he did the pronunciations. I mean, it was too good. Amazing.
Amazing narration, Damian.
Thank you, thank you.
It was so lively. Nice one. Okay, so
we
next.
have Nilshree and Neeraj. They joined us a bit late. So Neeraj actually was the first person who was supposed to go up to narrate.
Yeah, you were first on our list, Neeraj.
Now you're going
No,
to be
you're the last.
That's how quickly the tide changes. So Nilshree, you're up.
Yeah. I'm really sorry I could not join on time.
Not
I
an issue, not an issue.
stepped out and I thought I would make it in time, but it took time. So nevertheless, I'll try to narrate my story.
Rishi, do turn on your video.
Just a moment, because I have the story in my phone itself. So I'll forward
Yeah,
it
yeah.
on my husband's phone and read from that then. Give me 1 minute.
Yeah, sure.
You know, Damian, I was born and raised in Canada, and Canada is a bilingual country. So we're forced to learn French up until high school.
Okay.
And I really related to your story because I've been in a few of those situations myself. One time in particular in grade 8, we had to do a presentation in front of the rest of the school, our class. And myself and the guy I was paired with were in the same situation. We're both horrible, failing French miserably. We had to get up on stage and we basically bluffed our way through it. Same thing. And after the presentation, the teacher pulled us backstage and like really chewed us out. I don't know what you guys think who you think you were fooling out there, but everybody knows you can't speak French.
Well, I get this a lot when I'm stopped around, people asking me, you're an Anglo-Indian, are you from abroad? Are you from Britain? And I'd be like, no, I'm an Indian. My mother tongue's English, but I'm an Indian. So yeah, sometimes I do get mad and I say, no, I'm from Germany or I'm from France.
Okay, Nilshree is back. Nilshree, please unmute yourself.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
I haven't given any title to the story because I was really confused what to entitle it. So here it goes.
I think there's some network issue from her end.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we'll ask Nidhi whether she's enjoying herself or not. Nidhi, please.
I am enjoying myself, and I'm really fascinated how good these writers are, because everyone is like, oh, I had only 2 days, I had only 12 hours to write this, and they've come up with this. So now I'm wondering what will they come up with if they've been given time. So it's really amazing.
See,
something
but that's
longer.
Something longer. But see, that's the thing. Writers work better when they have deadlines.
True that.
And there's a fun in being challenged, giving it. That's why we sort of announced it a bit late, around about Wednesday. We announced we wanted to give 3 days to ourselves also, and see that just challenge people. Little bit of mischief, but it's fun when there's a challenge around you, right? Otherwise, what's the fun in anything you're pursuing creative? If you're not challenged a bit, then what's the fun in, right?
But it's really amazing being a part of this.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here. So Nilshree is back, and before she pushes off again, please.
Okay, I'll start once again. 17th September 2004 witnessed the most menacing lathi charge in Budhwarpet area of Pune. Disturbed streets, demolished food stalls, vegetables and fruits scattered all over the street, and at the corner was a 7-year-old girl, Priya. She gasped her mother's death. The perplexed 7-year-old girl, all by herself, decided to run away from that area. She had realized the cons of being a daughter to a prostitute. After walking for a long time, she reached a totally unknown street. She was hungry, thirsty, tired, and most of all, sleepy. She found a corner and made some place for herself to sleep. The next morning, she woke up with the sound of honking horn and a boy named Raju, approximately of her age, standing adjacent to her selling roses. She approached to him, asking for water. Upon talking for a while, the boy sensed her loneliness and insecurity. He informed his father and they took Priya to their small abode. Finally, Priya found a shelter to live in. Next morning, Priya also joined Raju in selling roses. She started making garlands and sold them outside a temple nearby. Seeing her earning good, Raju's father started asking her for her contribution in buying flowers from the wholesale market. For that moment, Priya gave him the money he asked for. She started collecting all the used flowers that were thrown out of the temple after the offerings. When she used to return, she used to be all cladded in mud, clothes all shabby and dirty. Raju's father noticed all of this. One day, he followed her to see what is she up to. To his surprise, Priya was burying all the flowers in an open space, watering them regularly, and there were small saplings that had started coming out. She was trying to cultivate her own garden. Raju's father also started helping her. It's been 17 years now. Priya has grown up and is into horticulture, a renowned floral artist. She has taken an initiative to work for abandoned kids from Budhwarpet. Doesn't matter where you come from, the way you carve your personality, the way you bring colors to the empty canvas of your life and give it back to society in your own way is all what matters.
That was very
That was really
uplifting.
inspiring. Yeah. Sends a really good message.
Nilshree, that was really nice.
Thank you.
Because I am from Pune and I remember by mistake stepping into Budhwarpet when I was like 6 or something. I was there with my mother and my mother was like, do not look left, do not look right, you follow me. And I was walking behind her and I saw a girl who was, I think 6 or 7, and she was wearing a red sari and a bright red lipstick. And I think that is, even now, that is one of the most haunting images in my mind. So it was very
In my
relatable.
college days as well, I took a wrong turn and I landed into that street, and I was with one of my friend and we both managed to get out of that street. But I was really scared for those 5 to 7 minutes.
Nilshree, I would say that like the story has a touch of, how do I put it, like some like it's poignant, and then you turn it into a very inspiring story. I mean, at the end, it's amazing. Very well worded.
Thank you.
So, last person for today, Neeraj.
Neeraj.
The late bird doesn't get the worm.
Yeah. And I am
That's
so
many
sad.
other quotes. He who laughs the last laughs the best. Let's hear from you then. Introduce yourself and the piece that you're going to narrate.
Yes. I am audible, right? I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So first of all, I'm so sorry that I am sorry for myself that I did not get to hear all the remaining stories, because the ones that I heard were fabulous. And
don't worry, this
I
can be
have
on
a
YouTube.
complex
You can
now.
go to YouTube and watch.
Yeah, right. Yes, thank you. Right. Okay. So just like it was mentioned earlier, regardless of how much time writers have, we always end up writing at the last moment. So this is another piece written in the last moment, today morning for the matter. Okay. The title is The Inner Sanctum. Controlled by his hormones and frustrated by his lack of self-control, the disgruntled teenager Gabru stomped down the street from his house to the grocery store. Gabru had attempted to escape his errand duty, claiming lack of preparedness for his upcoming test. But his mother had cast the reason away with a look of sarcasm, as she knew well how much of Gabru's lockdown tests were actually written by Google. As he approached the grocery store, the butterflies in his stomach began to multiply. Tiny droplets of anxiety lined up on his temple, and he felt the pressure in his ears as his blood began gushing towards all the extremities of his body. He gulped down the dryness of his mouth, and he stood in front of the store, still not ready to face the usual challenge. Hand over the list and the bag. Stand in the box. The store owner barked orders, and Gabru obliged silently, knowing that the lockdown restrictions had turned grocers into local superpowers. Gabru stole a glance at them, and he stepped back into the box and saw them looking back at him. His lips curled into a one-sided smile, unsure. Sorry. His lips curled into a one-sided smile, unsure if this too was going to be an unrequited one. But to his surprise, they smiled back before turning away and disappearing into the gloomy insides of the grocery store. The government mandate for inclusion of third-gendered employees at all functional establishments during the lockdown had forced Gabru to acknowledge a side of himself that he always ran away from. Gabru stood in the box as instructed, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. After a few minutes, he saw them coming back into the light from inside the store, holding Gabru's grocery-filled bag. As he stepped forward to take the bag from their hand, Gabru's and their fingers brushed, and Gabru saw them smile again, this time with a hint of shyness. Hey, Chakke, those bags aren't going to fill themselves up. Speed up. The owner barked orders at them, and Gabru and they disappeared into their own inner sanctums. That's all.
Kudos to Gabru.
Kudos to Gabru. Indeed. That one line of dialogue was delivered so well.
The last one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neeraj, that was really great.
That was so sensitive. Really.
Yeah, actually, it's and again another topic that should be explored more in our, at least in our country, like mental health. This is something that should be explored more. You know, the third gender, talking about homosexuals. I think it should be explored more in literature.
Yes, totally agree.
I think we are done.
Yeah, we are done. We come to the end of this very exciting session, and thank you all for joining in and contributing to this session with your lively narrations. For all our viewers, we will continue to bring such exciting stories and more content from your favorite authors. You'll have a chance to connect with them. So please tell your friends, tell your family about our brand new channel. Like, share, and subscribe, and please comment which narration you like the best. So thank you, and keep watching our channel. So goodbye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.